Hey there, Danielle Matthews here, and welcome to another episode of Real People Having Real Results with this incredible redox signaling technology. Now, redox has been called one of the greatest breakthroughs of our time. And I think that when you compare this to something like penicillin or the discovery of the double helix of DNA, people stop and go, wait a second, this sounds too good to be true. Aren't you overhyping it? And 8 years into this, I can say, if anything, that's an understatement. These molecules have the potential to help each person's body recover and repair where they need it. And so there isn't a challenge I haven't seen it touch, as I've been sharing this with thousands of people. And it's something that I get paid in goosebumps with what I watch this do. And I thought, you know what, rather than you hearing from me and hearing these stories, why not go firsthand and hear how these incredible molecules are impacting real people and the real results that they are having? Because this does something different in everyone, at each episode, you've noticed there's a different experience being shared, a different impact that it's had. And so today, I'm connecting you with someone who has become a dear friend of mine. And this is Robin Krasny. Robin, will you give everybody a little bit of introduction and background on yourself?
Yes, hi. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for having me on today. My name is Robin Krasny, and I'm one girl out of four brothers, and I grew up here in Florida on the beach side. I am a healer. I do multiple things in the healing arts for the past 35 years. I'm also a musician, a singer, songwriter, play flute, clarinet, saxophone, piano, and I do a lot of energy healing with people.
Yeah, well, you are gifted and multi-talented.
And I have a cat. That's all I have.
Well, so you and I interestingly met through Facebook. I love that Facebook really connects like minds, or they recommend people to you. And I remember the connection. It said, do you know this person? And I thought, wow, we have over 50 mutual friends, a lot of them from the Amrit Yoga Institute, and also because I used to live near you, beachside, over there in Brevard County. And I thought, do I know this woman? Did our paths ever cross? And somehow they didn't when I lived there, but I'm grateful that they did online. And you and I really just dove right into talking about the redox. And so share with everybody what it was that attracted you initially to this redox signaling technology.
Well, your faith in it and what it had done for you. Also, I always think about other people, and at the time I was thinking about my dad and my mom and, all kinds of people, but I was thinking about me too, because I was taking care of my parents at the time and living on their couch for 7 months and just not getting enough sleep and knowing I was kind of doing something not so good to my body because I had given up all my balancing techniques just to be there. Now, I can tell you from experience that was not a good idea. If I could go back and do it, I would try and fit some of those things in. But yeah, I could tell I was manifesting something in my body that was aberrant. And and so it was confirmed. But I don't even know why, because I was needing something, I guess.
Oh, I think when you're searching, right, the universe puts things in your path, and when you're needing something, there it is. and I'm
available. I'm available to try things that I think are great and new. But this had been presented to me, not formally, but a couple of times before by some people. You need to check this out. I was like, no thanks. I'm in my happy place. And so when you started talking to me about it, because I had just started studying pulse electromagnetic field therapy and electromagnetic connection through the body, when you started talking about it, I started thinking about the signal that the body needs, because we've got food and water and light and all that, but we need this spark of life too. And so between PMF and you started explaining ASEA, and I was like, well, I'll try
it. Yeah, I've heard people describe this as if it's like a spark contained, in a bottle. And it's phenomenal what that then means for your system, because it just gets the communication flowing. So share with everybody what your experience has been. What's the results that you've had and how have you used it? Because you've used both the liquid, which was what I think we originally talked about, but also the topical gel, which is phenomenal for the skin and so much more. Yes, exactly. I got mine behind me.
So much more and so much more. I put this in a spray bottle and I spray my eyes with it. I spray all kinds of, if any orifice you can use this, it's all safe. It's safe. That's the thing. I mean, it's totally safe. And that's one of the things that in a lot of herbal products and a lot of other things, you can't say that, even a drug or a herbal medicine, it might have a side effect to it or a contraindication with something else.
Right. Yeah. And this doesn't, it's completely safe, no toxicity.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. And it's like, all right, what's it going to do for me? So
Right.
the
And
result,
I saw what it did for you after your
right?
story of a brain injury, and that's no bueno. Brain injuries. I've worked on a lot of people with brain injuries, so I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I see what's happened to you, and you talk faster than I can even think, put words together. So to imagine that you had a brain injury where you couldn't do that,
Yeah.
that was convincing enough for me to say, hey, give it a try.
Right.
So I did, but besides the immediate things that you do to test yourself to see if this stuff really works, like burn yourself by accident and have the cat play scratch with you and you get like, scratch. I've had more injuries and falls and things like that I have really kind of, now I'm not even worried if I get a touch or cancel universe. I don't want to get anything, but like any boo-boo or bump or scrape or burn or whatever, I just,
like first aid in a tube. Yes.
and I used to carry around aloe with me and vitamin E all the time. And, I consider myself the witchy first aid person who was the shaman, and I'd always have the right thing at the right time. And now all I really need to bring with me is ASEA.
I know, it's phenomenal. So I remember you sharing with me when you started, because sleep was an issue for you. So you were sharing with me. Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
Not being able to sleep is a certain torture that I think must be passed down to my DNA, but it definitely affected my dad and now my mom. So insomnia, just from the constant worry and listening, being on call, so that you're going to jump up if you hear somebody cough or this or that and you need to help them. So that puts you on kind of like a hair sympathetic nervous system trigger, so it's like just barely tap it and it's gonna
Yeah.
So I put myself in a real raw state, and I could tell I was doing something gnarly, and it came out that I had a diagnosed issue with my thyroid gland, and I didn't doubt it at that point because I knew that my body wasn't doing the right stuff. Right. So that's when you found me, and ASEA found me.
Yep. It's
and
people's lives at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah, it just does, and when the student is ready, the teacher appears, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
We've heard that forever in every yoga class ever. So, when it was time, this stuff showed up. And I have to say, the effects, I was thinking about this. If I had this when I was a kid, I could have avoided so many health issues growing up.
Right.
So many digestive issues, so many back issues, and oh my God, I was an athlete. I jumped off of things, I flipped things, I land on my head, I broke my tailbone 4 times. I mean, I was active, and my mom would have had me bubble wrapped in this stuff. I'm telling you, I know. Have scars on my knees that I have from falling on my bike and everything.
Well, I think that's why I've got such a passion that people get educated about this. Because to me, like, this should be in every home. Knowing what I know, sitting with the knowledge I sit with, I'm like, okay, this just makes sense for every single person to have it. And it continues to help you. So you're 2 years into this, and a couple of weeks ago you called me because you had blood work come back that was like phenomenal. So tell me about it.
Not just phenomenal. I was like, I had a doctor tell me one time, I've never seen this before. And it turned out to be a bad thing with my eye or something. I was like, oh no. So when the doctor said to me, I've never seen this before. And I was like, oh God, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? And he said, well, look, and he turned his computer around and he showed me the numbers of my inflammation markers. And I had been at 350. I didn't even know. I never asked to look at the numbers or whatever, but they had gone down to 19. Now, 9 is still high, but I went from 350 to 19. That's like clinically, you can't.
It's jaw dropping. I mean, yeah. It's when the doctor says, yeah, well, this is new. Like, I've had that happen so many times with this. And it's just like, our doctors are incredible, right? But they're trained in a certain way. And I think that pills and surgery are the typical things that they lean to because it's what they know. But there are other options out there. And I'm so passionate that people figure out how to empower their bodies to heal themselves. Now, sometimes you need medication or surgery. I'm not against it. But when you can help your own system repair, you can see these jaw-dropping things happen because we're not just masking the symptom. We're going down to the root and we're saying, okay, what do we need to do to repair this? And so, Robin, I think you are in alignment with that thinking, hence
Yeah.
all the things that you do in your life and all the gifts that you give. But
Mhm.
my last question for you before we wrap up here is, why do you feel that the world needs to know about this?
Well, look around.
Mm,
I mean, if you feel what's going on, if you're empathic in the least, we're all connected.
yeah.
So everything that's going on the planet, there's people trying to block it out, trying to shut it out, but there's a huge energy shift going on right now. And I'm just going to say that in the nicest possible way. And the problem a lot of people suffer from, including when we don't stay grounded and we don't stay connected and we don't open our heart to be able to let that flow of, we don't even use our hair dryer without plugging it in. Why do we think that we're going to work without plugging ourselves in? At least with an awareness of our feet are on the ground, our head is in the heavens, and our heart is open and letting that flow go. Well,
Right.
that's what pulsed electromagnetic field therapy really engaged with me, as well as Qigong and yoga and every other thing I do. But when you started explaining ASEA,
Mhm.
I was like, this is that spark. This is the spark. This bottle is like lightning inside. I mean, it's literally it turns everything on. And I've seen, like, my friend Sade, she was one of the reasons that I started doing this, because I had taken the product and I hadn't even really felt anything before I ran over to her house
Yeah.
to help her with a bandage change because she suffers from a really horrible skin thing.
Yeah.
And her life has been transformed, as have many others that
Yeah.
I've luckily had the opportunity to reach through you.
I
You
know.
came up to me one time and you said, do you realize that you changed her life? And I was like, who? Because, that's ultimately what I want, is for everyone to feel grounded in their own being, in their own body, centered, connected to their source of information, the highest source, and then being able to integrate those into a heart space of living where we feel that. And I can tell from taking these products and getting myself back into balance
Yep.
that consciousness is available more easily and effortlessly
Yeah.
for me to access. My body is more nimble and able.
Yep.
I do not take the pain pills that I used to take because of my degenerated spine, according to the x-rays that were a few years ago.
Right.
I'd like to see them now.
I know. Mm.
I mean, if the doctors would just give us diagnostics to see how younger we're getting instead of how sick
Right.
I think everybody might be in on that. Like, ooh, let's try it.
I know. What you focus on, the energy flows there. So it's like, why not focus on that? Why not focus on helping support your body be younger and do all the things it's designed
And I'm not knocking Western medicine, man. It has its place.
for.
It definitely has its place, and so do doctors. And if they knew from their own experience about this,
Yeah.
I
They
think
will.
it would change the world.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you for coming on here. And guys, keep coming back to hear real people having real results with this incredible and revolutionary redox signaling technology. This is the same biohack that I used to help my body repair and get better from something doctors told me was my new normal. I got my optimum health back, and then I just have such a passion for empowering people with the knowledge to know this is an option out there. And if you know Robin, if you're connecting through her today, please reach out. You're learning about this for a reason. This stumbled across your path for a reason. It might be for you, it might be for someone that you love, but we would love to help you just learn more about this and see where it connects in. So as always, I see you, I believe in you, and there's so much potential within you. Let it shine. Thank you, Robin, for coming on here today and sharing.
Thank you for having me, Danielle. I love you so much. I appreciate you for changing my life.
Oh, bye, everybody.